Okay, I know what you're thinking. Splice, Diablo and Smash Brothers, is that really what you're predicting? Hear me out. Because I've been seeing a few things here and there, and I just have a sneaking suspicion that Nintendo and Blizzard are up to something. And it all started when Nintendo announced there would be an exclusive Diablo 3 Switch bundle. Look at this thing. The Diablo 3 Eternal Collection for the Switch looks absolutely sweet. Custom Switch design, custom docking station, custom carrying case, the game, the Ganondorf armor set. What's not to love? Well, a price tag of $360 isn't exactly ideal, but that's actually rather consistent with other Switch bundles. The Mario Odyssey and Splatoon bundles were priced at $380. The Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee bundle is at $400, but that also had custom Joy-Cons, and let's face it, it's Pokemon. At this point, Pokemon is basically nostalgia and cuteness mixed into a cocktail that is pure joy, so it's gonna sell almost regardless of price. And then there's the Super Smash Bros. Bundle, which basically offers the same amount of custom material, except you trade in a custom carrying case for custom Joy-Cons. It is also retailing at $360, which got me thinking, do they really expect Diablo 3 coming to the Switch to sell like Smash Bros.? I mean, don't get me wrong, Diablo 3 is a great game, but it's been around since 2012. When Diablo 3 was a new thing, we were still discussing the fact that the Mayan calendar was about to run out. And it's also been ported to so many systems at this point that it's getting second place only to Skyrim and jokes about it soon being playable on TI-83 calculators. Given all that, how can Nintendo or Blizzard be so confident they can offer a custom Switch and people will buy it? I mean, look at that video again. That's a lot of effort. The only other third-party bundle for the Switch I could find is the Fortnite bundle, and all that has is red and blue Joy-Cons, colors which you can already get with the regular Switch, and a few in-game goodies. Say what you will about Fortnite, but if Twitch viewership numbers are anything to go by, Fortnite is way more relevant than Diablo 3 right now. I just can't imagine two companies as experienced as Blizzard and Nintendo would think a 6-year-old game could push units. So, my gut tells me there has to be something else going on. They have to be hyping this up somehow. Well, I mean, we know how Smash will get hyped. All it will take is for Daddy Sakurai to appear on some random YouTube video and say, hey, new character, and the internet will explode. But how can Blizzard hype up their fans, a predominantly PC fan base, to buy a console? I'm not sure. Remind me when this bundle goes on sale again? Okay, now it gets interesting. November 2nd is the exact same day as Blizzcon. The day when Blizzard will be hyping up all its games for the next year. That time when it's going to rile up its fans into a frenzied pitch. But still, how does that help Nintendo when, again, Blizzard is almost an entirely PC-based company? Sure, they could do something like announce Overwatch is coming to the Switch, but I don't know. That just doesn't strike me as something that would sell Switches when people are already comfortable playing Overwatch on their PC and don't have to shell out another $360 for a custom Switch. But still, saying that doesn't strike me as something that would sell units is hardly concrete evidence that Diablo's coming to Smash. So, we need to make like Inception and go deeper. I started looking up the BlizzCon schedule and map and found something interesting. First, unless you've been to BlizzCon, it's hard to appreciate how big the Anaheim Convention Center is. It's enormous. It has to be. Last BlizzCon hosted over 35,000 people. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of damage.
The way BlizzCon is arranged is they have various stages that host panels. The opening ceremony happens primarily on the Mythic stage. Now, this is what the layout for the Mythic stage looked like in 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. Not a lot of change, but here's the map for 2018. Notice that they have reoriented the entire seating arrangements and plopped the Diablo 3 demo area and something called the Horadrim Retreat where there used to be seats. I haven't seen anything official about what the Horadrim Retreat is, but most people in the Diablo subreddit, and a lot of these people are people who have been to BlizzCon before, are pretty confident the Haradrim Retreat is going to feature switches with Diablo 3 on them, allowing people to link up and play with one another, showcasing the Switch's Diablo gameplay and how sweet the Diablo Eternal bundle looks. And that makes a lot of sense for the Haradrim Retreat. But can that really be the only thing they're doing to hype Switch and Diablo? Another thing to consider. After the opening ceremony, the very first panel on the main stage is typically the one covering the game Blizzard thinks the fans are going to be the most hyped over. In 2014, after announcing a little game called Overwatch, the very first panel was the Overwatch Unveiled panel. In 2015, after blowing everyone's minds with the World of Warcraft Legion trailer, they followed it up with the World of Warcraft Legion World and Content Overview panel. In 2016, my first year at BlizzCon, and at what was probably the height of Hearthstone's Twitch dominance, they debuted the trailer for Hearthstone's Mean Streets of Gadgetzan expansion, and followed that with the Hearthstone What's Next panel. And last year, after debuting the opening cinematic to World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth, they followed up the entire opening ceremony with World of Warcraft What's Next panel. So obviously, I looked up what's following the opening ceremony this year on the Mythic stage. Why, that would be the Diablo What's Next panel. Intriguing. Blizzard's summary for that panel is, join the Diablo team as they discuss what's in store for the heroes of Sanctuary. Can't get much more generic than that, I guess. But that's not the only thing pointing towards a big year for Diablo. People have been paying attention to the Blizzard job posting boards, and there have been a lot of hires for the Diablo team. It's got Diablo diehards at a fever pitch, basically all screaming, "Diablo 4 is coming!" Then, on October 17th, this post was thrown up on the official Diablo blog. BlizzCon 2018 is almost here, and we've seen a lot of rumors flying around about the plans for Diablo at the show. These are very exciting times. We currently have multiple teams working on different Diablo projects, and we can't wait to tell you all about them. ... when the time is right. Yeah, that doesn't sound like Diablo 4 is coming, does it? Further down, Blizzard also said, while we won't be ready to announce all our projects, we do intend to share some Diablo-related news with you at the show. So that's not hype at all. If anything, it's anti-hype. That's known as managing expectations. And don't get me wrong, it's important to manage expectations. Like, my friend who introduced me to anime with Rurouni Kenshin, she followed that up by giving me a DVD to Fruits Basket without giving me any sort of context. She did not manage expectations. And I ended up watching that entire thing waiting for it to get epic. It didn't, and that's terrible. Bitter tangents aside, Diablo diehards were not pleased with this news. But as I started to look at the map again, I realized that maybe our expectations were getting a bit out there. I mean, look at how big the Diablo demo area is. That's fairly small in comparison to the other demo areas. Far too small if you were announcing something as insanely huge as Diablo 4. And then I noticed this big empty space right next to it. If we look back at the past maps, we can see this area is normally occupied. And since there's no Diablo 4, I mean, this area has to be here for something, right? This is the part where my fan brain just wants to wildly speculate, say, it's the Smash demo area for the new Diablo character playable in Smash that is Diablo Super Smash! And then move on. I mean, I'm already speculating they're putting Switches over here. And hey, what would people play apart from Switches?
More Switches!
But before I go too crazy with declaring Diablo and Smash joined in unholy matrimony, I have to acknowledge a couple elephants in the room, if for no other reason that it's incredibly rude to not acknowledge someone if they're just standing in the room with you. One obvious answer to what this area could be used to hype up is the all but confirmed Diablo Netflix series that is coming. How do we know it's coming? Andrew Cosby, the writer of the Hellboy films, tweeted on September 20th of this year that he was in final talks to write and direct the story, only to delete said tweet a few minutes later. Blizzard's big Diablo announcement could be Blizzard officially announcing the series. However, if they're just barely getting the director and writer in place in late September, what would they really have to show off in early November? I'd be shocked if they have a full trailer. Teaser trailer, maybe? Seriously though, we're talking about what, a month and a half to development time? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm excited for the prospect of Diablo on Netflix after how good the Castlevania Netflix series was. I mean, I didn't watch it. Sort of never got around to it. But my roommate did, and he really liked it, I think.
It really is good.
Okay, see, there we go. But regardless of its quality, or in fact because of its quality, animated series take time to develop. I don't think they've had enough time to provide enough material to fill this empty space with some sort of Diablo Netflix demo area. Could be wrong. I'm not exactly an animation expert that knows how long these things take, but at this point, I don't think they have enough, so I'm going to say that's probably not going to happen. Another suggestion I've heard floated around is that this could be the year they release another new class, likely the Druid, or maybe a full Diablo 3 expansion. Let's talk about the expansion idea first. If they had a full Reaper of Souls style expansion for Diablo, I'd think they'd expect more people to want to playtest it first, and have a bigger demo area than the one we already got. As for the Druid, well, it's a real possibility. However, the buzz around a new class tends to be small, and the playtest area we see is comparable in size to the one we saw for when they released the Necromancer. In short, I don't think the expansion thing is likely because the area is too small, and the class thing could be very real, but at the same time doesn't really explain what's going on in this empty area. Another thought says that maybe there's going to be a remastering of Diablo 1, 2, or both. Well, definitely could explain why the map labels the Diablo 3 playtest so specifically Diablo 3 playtest area. Then again, maybe not, as the 2017 Diablo playtest area was similarly labeled. Even still, I can't see a remastering for Diablo's 1 or 2 generating enough buzz to have a playtest area exclusively for the remaster. Maybe if it was a full-on remake, with new voice acting and modern plotting, that could work, but a simple remastering, not only do I think it's not enough to justify a playtest area, I don't think it's enough to justify putting Diablo in the big hype spot right after the opening ceremony. So given that the other explanations don't quite measure up to me, I'm thinking that this has to be something beyond Blizzard's normal Diablo offerings. While it could simply be just another project that brings Diablo universe to a different genre, like say a Skyrim-style Diablo game or something like that, that would be the exact same category as a game that brings Diablo into a fighting game like, say, Smash! I mean, it's not as if Blizzard hasn't floated the idea themselves. The senior director of the Diablo 3 Eternal Edition for the Switch bundle, Peter Stillwell, he said in a Game Informer interview back in August, "Personally, yeah, I'd love to have Diablo. That to me is the immediate one. Then, if we had over time eventually the heroes go through all of them, or you could be really awesome and only have Deckard Cain." So, Blizzard would love to have Dibbles or someone else in Smash. But it takes two to tango, and there has to be a willingness on the part of Nintendo as well. Personally, I think the willingness is there. Sakurai has already hyped up how this is the biggest crossover in gaming history, and he seems rather proud of that fact. And why wouldn't he be? With Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, they have the two biggest icons of the arcade era. Mega Man and Simon Belmont represent two third-party characters from Nintendo's past coming back to the fold. With Sonic, they have the mascot from Nintendo's biggest rival from the early 90s console wars. Cloud and Snake highlight two characters known far more for their appearances on Sony systems than Nintendo. And depending upon what flavor of leak you prefer, it seems like we might have a good chance of even getting some Microsoft representation. Do you know what went missing from that list? PC gaming. Sakurai has something from all different eras and systems, but nothing that has crossed over to the PC realm. This is where I think Diablo comes in, to round out a roster that's merely the biggest crossover in gaming history to something that is truly a symbol of gaming in its entirety. Getting back to the topic at hand, Maybe you like the ideas that I've thrown out there, but you don't think there's enough time in the development budget this late in the cycle for a custom character to be put into Smash. I agree. Unless they've worked on this for a long time, and we have no clue how long they've known about Diablo coming to the Switch, I think a Diablo character would probably be an Echo Fighter of some kind. Each class could easily be an echo of a different fighter. But let's get away from generic classes and move on to the characters that Blizzard themselves brought up. Let's say you somehow want to get old, slow, frail Deckard Cain into the game. I actually think there's a good, clonable target out there for him. Let's say you switch out Robin's tomes for Deckard's scrolls. And Robin already is one of the slowest characters in Smash history. Look it up, it's actually true. So let's slow him down further, a lot further. But let's also make his attacks come out faster and maybe with more power. I think you could have an interesting Echo Fighter there. But let's face it, if anyone from Diablo should come to Smash, it should be the titular character himself. Some might balk at the idea of the literal devil being brought to a Nintendo property, but I feel Nintendo has shown more of an openness to edgier products recently. We have the fan-servicey skins of Zero Suit Samus, Palutena's Pole Dance, and Bayonetta being, Bayonetta. So I wouldn't have even entertained this idea before Smash 4, but now I could see them letting in the Lord of Terror. But are there any clonable targets for Dibbles? I think there are. If they wanted to go with the more classic, beefy-looking Diablo like they have in Heroes of the Storm, well, Nintendo already has a large, spiky, fire-breathing bad guy to clone in Bowser. I have no idea what they would do with his up B, cause, Turtle Dragon, but they've already shown with Chrom that an Echo Fighter doesn't necessarily have to have the same recovery moves, so I suppose there's some wiggle room there. However, the game coming to Switch is Diablo 3. So I think they would prefer to go with the more lithe-looking Primeval Diablo from that game. Fortunately, they just created a lithe, fire-breathing baddie with a super long tail. That's right, I could see Diablo being an interesting Echo Fighter of Ridley. Remove the mobility of Ridley's multiple jumps and give Diablo more attack power and more boom. I think that'd be an interesting choice. But now that we've gotten this far, let's get a little real with one another. Honestly, I've spent more time playing Blizzard and Nintendo games than all other gaming studios put together. Is it possible that, like a bad fanfiction writer, I'm looking for all the evidence that could make my one true ship happen? As much as anyone, I would love for Nintendo-chan and Blizzard-kun to finally hook up. That's my ship. So, yes, I may be a crazy conspiracy theorist looking for connections that aren't there. It's totally possible. But I can't get a better explanation for how Blizzard and Nintendo expect to sell special editions of consoles to PC gamers. I can't come up with a better answer that says what they're going to do with this empty space at BlizzCon. I can't shake the sneaking feeling that something more is going on behind the scenes. And if I'm wrong, I'll join the ranks of all the other people on the internet who've been wrong, which is okay. A lot of people there, a lot of good company. What's the point of fandom if you can't wildly speculate on something? It's every fan's God-given right to hype themselves up beyond all reasonable expectation. That's why reasonable companies have to tamp down those expectations. But if you ask me, crazy ideas like this are the very heart and soul of what Super Smash Bros. Is about. Think about it. What was the very first thing we ever saw in Super Smash Bros. History? It was that introduction in Smash 64 of a hand reaching into a child's toy box and setting up his dolls in a mock fight. From the very beginning, Smash has been about letting our childlike imagination run wild and speculate on who would win in a fight. So yeah, I may be some crazy person on the internet, but you can bet your smash balls that when I get to BlizzCon, the first thing I'm doing is going to find that empty space on the BlizzCon map and see if anything is there. It might be another game, maybe an area to hype up Diablo on Netflix, Or maybe, and who forbid, an empty space that they just had to have there for fire codes or something crazy like that. If it's any of those things, will I be disappointed? Well, okay, if it's the fire code thing, I'll be very disappointed. But anything else, will I be disappointed? A little bit, but I'm not going to be crushed. For one, given how willing Blizzard and Nintendo seem to be, I do think it's inevitable that a Diablo character will come to Smash eventually as some form of DLC. But more importantly, I won't be crushed because even if I'm wrong, this was a fun thing. So yeah, the speculation, the research, poring over old maps and schedules, and bugging my roommates late at night with my crazy theories, all of that was fun. And in and of itself, that's a reward. And more importantly, if I've had these theories run through my head, and then Diablo did come out for Smash, or any other Diablo character, I would never be able to live with myself. As the saying goes, no guts, no glory. And Pixar didn't happen. Regardless, November 2nd's right around the corner. I'll be there at BlizzCon. If you want to get a live viewing of what's going to happen, I will be tweeting about it. Just go to my Twitter, Splicestream, and I will go straight to that area, get a pic, and find out how disappointed I am that my theory didn't come true. But it was crazy anyway. Regardless, until November 2nd, stay fit, keep sharp, make good decisions, splice out.